Hey everyone, welcome back. So it's the weekend, and obviously it's time to go over Bitcoin, the miners, and things like that. So we're going to take a look at Bitcoin, see what's going on there. Something interesting might be happening right now, so we'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at the miners, see how they did for the week compared to Bitcoin as well. We'll take a look at them from yesterday as well. I didn't do a video yesterday. I was tied up listening to conference calls, Rivian and Hut 8, so we'll get into that. Luxxfolio out of the Miners Club. We'll discuss that relatively quickly here. That will be 30 seconds or less. Hut 8 conference call. We'll cover that. Some of the things that I took notes on. We'll discuss it. Sphere 3D provided their Q2 results yesterday, so I got that information for you guys as well. Rivian second quarter results. We'll kind of just go over it really quickly here. As you guys know, I'm invested in them. Cleanspark, we'll take a look at how Cleanspark could possibly get to 22.4 exahash and what it's going to cost them, basically. So we'll take a look at that as well. And then miner stats, KPI, key performance indicators. A couple questions for you guys on that one. I've been working on something here today. I'm going to pass something by you guys, and we'll call it a day on that one. All right. So as always, you guys are aware, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. And I'm invested in the following coins and companies right now. Full disclosure as always. All right, take a look at the markets here. So the markets were up. Obviously, S&P was up 1.73% yesterday. Dow Jones was up 1.23%. NASDAQ was up 2.09%. And the miners were up as well. So we'll take a look at Bitcoin here really quick, and then we'll get into the miners, see how they did yesterday. And then we'll get into the miners versus miners or Luxxfolio and some of the other things as well. So Bitcoin right now is at 24,428, roughly right around there. One of the things that I just noticed today, I turned on my daily lines, which are the 20-day moving averages, 50-day moving averages, and the 200-day moving averages. So the red line here is the 20-day moving average. The green line is the 50-day moving average, and the blue line is the 200-day moving average. It looks like we are about to have, or just had, the 20-day moving average cross over the 50-day moving average, which might signify a little bit of a bullish run here. So if that happens and we can stay above our resistance here at 23,800, which we have stayed so far for the past 2 days. You can even say 3 days we've been above it, which we have not been. We've been kind of on the line here. Once we've been twice maybe. So it looks like we possibly have breached that resistance and are going to be going back up a little bit. And our next resistance is going to be probably at the 28,500 mark, 28,600 or so mark on the chart here. So we'll have to keep an eye on it, see how it goes. Obviously, RSI has been doing pretty good. We're pretty much flat on the RSI while the price has gone up a little bit here at 24.4. And prior to that, we were here at around 23.8 or so. So about a $600 appreciation in value while the RSI has stayed flat. So we'll have to keep an eye on it, obviously, see what happens there. The weekly, there we go. Here's the weekly. So the weekly, 200 weekly moving average is the red line here. And we've stayed above it. We've kind of bounced off of it here a couple of times here. We've got a lot of lines going on. Let me get rid of the daily lines now. There we go. So there's the 200 weekly moving average, the red line. We've bounced off of it quite nicely here now. So hopefully that is, has worked as our support here. And hopefully we won't have to touch it again. But we'll have to see, obviously. With Bitcoin, you just never know. We could go up to 30,000, come back down to 17,000. You just never know, depending on the news. So we'll keep an eye on it. Ethereum is at 1,978 right now, and it is obviously been going up quite nicely here in the last couple of days. We have on the RSI RSI is pretty much flat. We're at 19,800. Last time we were around here was at 15,000 or 1,580. So nice appreciation there, about $400 on that. So that's continuing to look like it's going up even more, but we'll keep an eye on it. So just go over the miners here really quick. Annie was up 8.87% on the day to 79 cents. Argo was up 4.18% to 59 cents. Bit Digital, let me turn off the 200 weekly moving average, get better chart value. There we go. Was up 8% to $1.89. Bitfarms was up quite nicely, 14.94% to $2. Cleanspark was up another 5.16% to $6.02. Cores was up 3.7% to $3.36. DigiHost was up 1.41% to $1.44. DMG was up 4.35% to 33 cents. Greenidge Energy was up 5.58% to $4.16. Hive was up really nice, 13.79% to $7.18. Hive was up 18.92%. They did really good as well, to $3.52. Iris Energy was down 4.34% to $5.95. Luxxfolio was down 2.31% to 11 cents. Marathon was up 6.11% to $18.24. Mawson was up 3.12% to 97 cents. And Riot was up 4.31% to $9.93. Stronghold was up 10.31% to $3.21. So overall, pretty good day for the miners. They've had a lot of good days here in the past week. And we'll take a look at that on Bitcoin versus miners when we do that analysis here in a little bit. But first, let's get into Luxxfolio here. I want to cover that really quick. So Luxxfolio, as you all know, pretty much sold all of their miners here because they got basically not margin called. They got a default call from their lender. So they had to basically sell all the miners that they did have for it, and they're basically without any miners right now. So I posed the question to you guys on Twitter and on YouTube if, should I remove Luxxfolio from the miners I cover as they no longer have any miners for self-mining? And the vast majority of you said yes, that I should get rid of them. We had about 87% here on Twitter, about 89% on YouTube or so. So obviously the vast majority said to go ahead and get rid of them. I am going to keep them in my sheet, and I'll kind of monitor them a little bit in the background, but I won't post any videos on them unless they actually provide that they're buying miners for themselves, and then we'll get back into covering them possibly down the road if that happens. All right, so that's that one. Let's see here. Next is going to be Sphere 3D. So Sphere 3D reports second quarter 2022 financial results and operations updates. And it wasn't a good quarter for them. They lost quite a bit of money. But here's some of the key takeaways. So the company recorded revenues of $1.9 million during the quarter, including digital mining revenue of 1.2. I was a little bit off on that. I was a little bit lower, but not too much. We'll take a look at that numbers here shortly. And production of 37.1 Bitcoin compared to revenues of 0.9 million in the prior year period. So not a huge increase, obviously, in that they got to get the miners installed. They got to get the miners first to get them installed. The company mined 37.1 Bitcoin for the quarter, bringing the total holdings to 55.26 at the quarter close. Due to the energization of additional miners, we continue to employ a HODL strategy, only liquidating when needed for additional working capital, which is fine. They did appoint a new CEO, Patricia Trumpeter, back on April 5th. And then Kurt K. finalized an employment agreement as CFO. Duncan McEwen became chairman of the board. Timothy Hanley, veteran finance executive, was added to the Sphere 3 board. So that's all fine and dandy. Financial results. So operating costs and expenses for the quarter totaled $17.3 million compared to $4.4 million for the quarter back in 21. So that's a huge increase. That's a 4x increase. And that's a lot. The increase was mainly from operating costs and expenses and primarily attributed to depreciation and amortization of $7.5 million. And higher general administrative expenses of $7.8 million in the second quarter of 22 compared to $3.2 million. So administrative has to get under control. And obviously, the depreciation is what it is, so there's not much we can do about it. And in connection with termination of the merger agreement with Gryphon Digital Mining on April 4th, 2022, the company incurred a loss on the forgiveness of the outstanding notes, totaling $13.1 million during the quarter. That was obviously a big hit as well. And then impairment of investment was $12.4 million and nil for the second quarter of 22 and 2021, respectively. The increase of $12.4 million was due to impairment loss recognized on the Filecoiner investments. The fair value of those investments was impacted by the decrease in the price of Filecoins at the time of investments, resulting in an impairment. So they're out of that business for now, as I'm aware. The company recorded a net loss of $40.7 million, ouch, or 62 cents per share during the quarter compared to a net loss of $3.1 million or 19 cents per share for the second quarter of 2021. 6 months, not going to get into that. Just going to take a quick look at the numbers here that they have for us. So revenue, digital mining was 1.211 million. I'll update this. I have a 1.2 million exactly on my spreadsheet, but we'll update that, but it's not going to make a huge difference there. And 2022 total revenue 1.92. So revenue, service and products was 710,000 roughly. Cost of digital mining revenue was 619,000, so about 50%. Net income from gross revenue looks like. And that cost of services was 341. So same thing, about 50% roughly. Sales marketing, I'm not sure why you need sales and marketing of 264,000, but okay. Research and development, 139,000. If you're a Bitcoin miner, there shouldn't be much research and development, I would think. General and administrative was obviously huge here. Got to get that under control. Depreciation is fine. And let's see, I believe that's it. Assets. So cash and cash equivalents right now, they have 10 million. They had 54 million last year. Huge decrease, obviously, of 50 or 44 million roughly. Digital assets, 962,000. Accounts receivable, other current assets. Total current assets is 49 million right now. And total assets is 230 million, looks like. So that's good. Let's see, what do they have as far as liabilities? 4 million in current liabilities. So not a lot of debt, so that's good. Yeah, overall, not too bad. Let's take a look at the numbers that I have for them here. Sphere 3D, and they reported 1.211. We'll update this. It might make... Okay, so I was off by 7.5% from that. I have it at 1.1 million, roughly, and they came in at 1.2. And that's obviously because Bitcoin price fluctuates, and they probably are marking it on a daily basis, where I'm marking it at the end of each month. So that's kind of where we're off on that. Other than that, let's see here. I think I have that one set up. Let me update this one really quick here. We'll set that one to this one, the correct number. So now we're looking at probably them being, with the current amount of revenue that they have, between 44 cents and 66 cents. If we're using the price earnings multiple of 20, they are still at 100 petahash right now. They're supposed to get to 6 exahash. They have a long ways to go. So I think investors are giving them benefit of doubt and looking for the growth in the future. That's why they're trading at a much higher multiple, I'm guessing, on that. And for me right now, I would say that they are overvalued based on where they are generating income at this current level. We have seen that obviously the miners have been very slow to getting to them, or getting plugged in. But we see that we're still at 100 petahash for the last several months here, which isn't good. We need to see growth in that, and that should be getting much, much faster as they go forward with this, I would hope. Okay, so that's Sphere 3D. I do have to also update. I'll make a note to myself that I have to update Sphere 3D numbers. Let me write that down. Sphere 3D, update numbers so I don't forget. On this sheet where we do minor comparisons, I did not update this yet. I just saw the news a little bit ago. So Sphere 3D is, where'd they go? Why don't I have Sphere 3D here? There it is. Drawing a blank. So I'll update these numbers here to come up with the new ratios, current ratios, and debt to equity ratio. I'll get that updated. And then if it's anything major where we're concerned on anything, I'll post a follow-up video on it. All right, so that's that. All right, let's get into right now Hut 8 conference call, and we'll take a look at some of the notes that I have here for it. So Hut 8 had a nice conference call. A couple of things that were kind of interesting was obviously power costs, which cost, they basically watch it at 15-minute intervals, and they will obviously turn down miners or turn off miners depending on peak energy usage, and they'll do that accordingly at this time as they see fit right now, which is kind of interesting. So we'll take a look at some of the other things. So that's that one. So that one's okay. I can write it down here. Never mind. Okay. So power costs every 15 minutes, which is fine. So that's good to know. They still have about 1,000 units per month from MicroBT remaining this year that still have to be delivered. So let's take a look at the numbers that we have here for them. That's Hut 8. So we still have quite a bit of miners, obviously. It looks like we have these miners. Let's see, where are we at? So yeah, so we still have obviously September, October, November, December, and then we're pretty much filled up with everything that they have on order right now. And the concerning part of it was, at least for me when listening to the conference call, was that they are not really looking to grow anytime soon here. They've pretty much maxed out their data centers, and they don't have any place to put them, so they're not looking to really expand, at least not right now, which hopefully that will change, but that's kind of concerning right now. So the other thing was Web3 high compute. So they're seeing growth and potential there, so that's part of their GPU servers that they have. They're looking to also possibly move those over from their Medicine Hat facility over to the server grade data centers that they have, as those GPUs are basically server grade machines, packaging those kind of units. So those are going to be probably something moved later on. They're not looking at mining equipment for remaining of 2022. Like I said, don't have the infrastructure to add more miners. Why? My question was why? Why not? Why aren't they looking to either buy somebody out? They have plenty of cash. Obviously, they have 184 million in cash right now in BTC HODL, and they're just not using it. Obviously, they're hodling it to hopefully have it go up in value. But eventually, once you're fully installed with all your miners that are supposed to be getting to you within the next couple of months, your revenue is going to be going down because, the network hash rate is going to go up. The difficulty is also going to go up, and you're going to be having less revenue from that. So they really need to do, well, at least I would think, they really need to look at growing further from instead of the 3.5 exahash they're going to be at. So that's kind of my concern with that. And they're also possibly looking to get back into lending out a portion of their HODL position when market improves, generating yield. I would stay out of that. I would rather have them use that money for growth. That's just my opinion. And then Ethereum proof of stake, possibly moving, like I said, possibly moving the servers grade to the GPU centers, data centers from Medicine Hat. And they're not looking to sell HODL position to grow ASIC inventory right now. So those obviously are a little bit concerning for me. I would like to see growth. And by their comments, we're not going to see growth anytime soon this year. The only way they're going to get growth is obviously an appreciation of Bitcoin going up. And obviously Bitcoin goes up, 100% from where it's at right now. Yeah, they're going to get growth, but they're going to get appreciation in BTC HODL. It's going to be, valued about 360 some million, which is great, but they're not going to be growing. So plus the nice thing is right now we're in kind of this bear market a little bit where the miners are just so inexpensive. We're seeing miners that are, $29 per terahash to $30, somewhere around there. They're pretty inexpensive right now, and it'd be a great time to actually buy them up if you could. And they obviously can because they have plenty of resources on that. So that's it for Hut 8. They had obviously the quarter, we looked over the quarter numbers in the previous video, which wasn't bad. We knew the numbers were going to be pretty bad based on Bitcoin coming back down in price, everything else being equal. I'm hoping that they obviously look for ways to grow their hash rate, but that's just my 2 cents on that one. Let me know what you guys think of that as well, of all these things. Obviously, not growing their hash rate, not building out infrastructure, or looking to build out infrastructure is a little bit concerning. Let me know if you guys also think the same thing on that one. Okay, so we got Hut 8. Let's take a look at Cleanspark really quick here. So Cleanspark provided that they are going to be going to 22.4 exahash sometime next year. So here is my spreadsheet on that, kind of trying to figure out what that would actually entail. And basically, they would have to get an additional 17.4 exahash, roughly, to get to that number next year. So that's a lot of machines, obviously. That would equal approximately 154,000 machines at the 110 terahash mark right now, if they can get those. And that would cost them approximately, if they could get those at 2,600. This is kind of what I'm seeing as far, even at 2,900, let's see what that would be. 2,900, that would get them to basically $450 million that they would have to spend on just the miners themselves. The other thing is obviously they would have to build out infrastructure or go with a hosting provider. They would need basically 600 megawatts in order to do that if they went with the 110 terahash miners. If, however, they went with the 140 terahash miners, we're looking at 475 megawatts, and that would be 140 terahash miners. So now you're looking at 122,000 miners instead of the previous one, and possibly, depending on the price on those, if you can get those at $3,500, you're still looking at 430 million roughly to get to that mark. So obviously a huge expenditure for them. They currently have, as far as assets, let's take a look at them really quick here. Miner comparison, Cleanspark, there they are. So they reported, obviously, just recently, they have 29 million in current assets. Current liabilities is about almost 20 million or so. So they do have enough to pay for that. They would obviously have to either dilute shares, get loans out or something like that to pay for it. And you're also looking at, if they're building out their own infrastructure, you have to add another probably 100 to 200 million on top of that to build out the infrastructure. I'm guessing somewhere around there. Correct. Now, if somebody has numbers on that as far as how much it costs to build out per per megawatt, what the cost is on that, I would love to hear it. Obviously it depends wildly if you're using immersion cooling or not, or if you're using standard air cooling. That's obviously going to have an impact on it as well. So, but that's obviously going to be a lot that they have to build out. And there was something else I'm going to calculate. I mean, right now they are selling their Bitcoin to fund operations and growth, but it would obviously take a lot of Bitcoins and growth to sell that. I mean, at current prices, you would need, let's see here, equals, take this divided by just an easy number. We'll do 25,000 of roughly. You would need about 17,000 Bitcoins, and they're mining about 300 some Bitcoins per month right now. So it would take a while for them to get to that point. So I think they are going to have to get either loans, dilute shares or something like that to get them to that number if they wanted to do that next year, which is going to be really, really hard. I mean, we're seeing obviously Marathon having issues with getting to the numbers that they wanted to get to. We are seeing it with other miners as well. So I would say it's a great goal to have to get to 22.4, but I don't know how feasible it is to get it done in 2023. A lot of moving parts that have to get in place and installed and set up and everything else to get that going. So that's kind of my take on that. All right, and let's take a look at some KPI data. So I started going over the financial reports for Hut 8, and I think I did it for Iris also, just the two, just to kind of run some numbers here. So I pulled in all the quarterly financial data here into the spreadsheet as far as assets, total current assets, total assets, liabilities, all the good stuff that we would have on the quarterly reports. And I'm trying to figure out some good, key performance indicators, KPIs. And the only thing I could figure out right now is basically how much it costs to mine one BTC, what that is, cost to mine one BTC with the minus depreciation, because some of them include depreciation as well. And then others also include a lot of other things. So if you look at Hut 8 here, in the revenue part of it, so they only include site operating costs, depreciation, and then total cost of revenue for it, which is the combination of the two. So site operations, they obviously include a lot more as far as possible infrastructure that's in there, wages, I'm guessing as well, possibly in there, because they're not breaking it down by category. They're just lumping it all together. So it's going to be a little bit skewed for them as far as what their cost is to mine one BTC compared to somebody else like Cleanspark, which provides a whole slew of information here. Revenues, where you can see here, they really expand on everything. So you can see expenses, cost of revenue was 10,000 in the current quarter. Professional fees, you got payroll expenses in here, you got general administrative, you got gain on disposable of assets, other impairment expenses, realized gain losses, depreciation, amortization. So you got all this stuff that's added, provided to us instead of being lumped into just two categories, which is great because then you can actually see that, for Cleanspark, they're paying, their cost is about 10.7 thousand per BTC just for their own mining, which is pretty good. We know that some of them have, some other miners are lower than that, but it's still pretty good at being at 10.7. And it has come down from Q1, which was 13.4. So even though Bitcoin prices come down, their cost to mine one BTC has also decreased, which is good. So that's kind of what we're looking at here on this. So my question to you guys is, are there any other good KPI metrics that we could use with the financials to include in here? And is it something you guys would be interested in? If it's not, I'm not going to spend the time to put all the data into all the miners and everything else. So I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would let me know in the comments down below if you think something like this would be useful. All right. So that's that. And let's get into really quick here. We'll get into Rivian really quick. And I'm doing the kind of same thing with Rivian here. And that's kind of how it started, because I'm investing in Rivian. So I wanted to kind of see the quarterly progress that's happening with Rivian and with their production of the vehicles and everything else. So I wanted to get some key production or key performance indicators on here, just to kind of track them and see how they're progressing going forward. So I created this first, and then I basically migrated over to the miners, and that's kind of where my thinking came in. So right now, Rivian, for the Q2, current assets is $15.7 billion. These are all in 1,000 intervals. So $15.7 billion in total current assets. Total assets is 20.2 billion, which is obviously a decrease. You can see it has been decreasing as they've been getting into their production phase. They're spending a lot more cash. They're burning quite a bit of it. They burned about, in cash alone, they burned approximately, what is that, 1.5 billion or so. 1 billion, yeah, 1.5 billion that they burned in cash, which is okay. They're in the growth phase here. Total current liabilities has increased to 1.7 billion from 1.5. Total liabilities also increased by only 300 million, so that's actually pretty good. They did decrease. What did they decrease here on? Nothing decreased. It did increase a little bit, but not as bad, so that's fine. Stockholder equity is 20.17 billion. Revenues, here's the interesting part. Revenues obviously increased to 364 million from 95 million, so that's a nice increase there. Cost of revenue on it was 1 billion. Gross profit negative 704 million, and loss from operations is 1.7 billion right now. So the loss here has increased from the previous quarter, 1.6 roughly, but it is down from the 2.4 in the fourth quarter of 2021, which is good. And then interest income, we have net loss and loss per share. Loss per share is $1.89 compared to $1.77 in the prior quarter, which is fine as well. But the interesting part was we're seeing that the revenue per vehicle delivered has been increasing. So in Q4 of 2021, we were at 58,685. Q1 of 2022, we were at 77,424. And then in the current quarter, we're at 81,486 on average per vehicle being delivered, it looks like. Vehicle reservations is about almost 8 billion. They have 98,000 vehicles right now. They had 90,000 in Q1, 83,000 in December. So we're obviously still seeing pretty good growth there, even though they've delivered about 7,000 vehicles, it looks like, based on this data that they provided. And vehicle produced was about 8,620. So they do have another 1,620 vehicles that still need to be delivered, which is good. The only upsetting part is I can't find any updated data as far as how many vehicles they produce of the R1T, R1S. They provided that data through December 31st, but I could not find it in the Q1 or the Q2 numbers. And same thing with the amount of vehicles that were delivered in R1 and for the R1 and R2 in Q1 and Q2. So overall, this was obviously going to be a long investment, which I knew getting into this. Right now I have about 250 shares of Rivian. I want to get to maybe 500 by the time everything is said and done, depending where the price is. I might look to get to maybe 1,000 shares if I can. My original goal was to get to 100 shares, but the price has come way down. It's been so cheap. I've been buying it up as much as I can. And I know this is going to be a long-term play. We're looking at possibly being 5-10 years out before I start pulling out from this investment. They are obviously going to be growing still in Georgia with their another facility. So there's still obviously a lot of growth left in them. It's kind of even if it does half as good as Tesla has done with what they have obviously accomplished here in the last 15 years, it'll be a fantastic run up. So not financial advice, as always, do your own research, but I do like this stock a lot. Okay, so that's Rivian. And then let's get into finally the miners versus Bitcoin for the day. And that's back here. Miners Weekly. All right. So the miners had a fantastic week this week. Hut 8, well, we'll just go through the numbers here and we'll take a look at it. So Bitcoin was obviously up 4.78% on the week. It was up 1,113, and this is based on the Friday closing price. I'm using that as well as for the miners. So Hut 8 was up. Everybody was pretty much doing better than Bitcoin this week. 330 was up 10.8% on the week. Mawson was up 14.12. Core Scientific 15.46. DMG was up 16.14. DigiHost was up 16.5. Raya was up 20%. BitDigital was up almost 22%. Bitfarms was up 23.5 roughly. Iris was up 25.5%. Stronghold was up 27.38%. Argo was up 28.5% roughly. Marathon was up 28.72%. Cleanspark was up 29.18%. Hive was up 42.74%. And surprisingly, Marathon was up, or not Marathon, Hot 8 was up 47.9%, almost 50% on the week, which is just amazing. So here's how everything breaks down. If we look at the chart, you can see, Hot Hive have done the best, and pretty much everybody has outperformed Bitcoin this week, which is great, which is why I love the miners, is when Bitcoin starts going up, the miners, go 1x or 2x, 3x, 4x, and some of these guys have gone way above that, because if you look at Bitcoin only be up almost roughly 5%, and these guys are up almost 50%, that's basically a 10x difference on it. So that's why I do love the space, and it's obviously fun when it's going up, but it's also really, really painful when it's going down. On the 4-week, let's take a look at that really quickly here. Let's do that descending as well. On the 8-week, we are looking at, we'll do that down here. We can see Bitcoin is up 7.43% on the week, and then we only have BitDigital and Mawson, which have underperformed Bitcoin, and then nobody else here has done better. So Stronghold was up 7.7%, Sphere was up 10%, DigiHost was up 17%, Argo was up 31%, DMG was up 32%, Raya was up 39%, Cleanspark 40%, Marathon was up 46%, Bitfarms was up almost 50%, 49%, Iris Energy was up 57%, Hut 8 is up 70%, Hive is up 82%, and Core Scientific is up 83.61%, beating pretty much everybody here on the 8 weeks. Or on the 4 weeks, sorry. If we look at the 8 weeks as well, let's take a look at it here really quick. We can see Bitcoin is up 14.94% here. BitDigital, DigiHost, Sphere 3D is down below it, and then Mawson is just down 22%. Everybody else on the line above, so Cleanspark is up 22, Argo is up 25, Bitfarms is up 33, Core is up 60, DMG 61, Stronghold 68, Riot 91, Iris 95, Hive is up 101%, Hut 8 is up 103%, and Marathon is up 145% on the 8 weeks ago. So had you bought 8 weeks ago, you would be doing really well right now. And finally, we'll take a look at the 12 weeks. 12 weeks is a little bit more mixed here. Start descending. We'll take a look at it down here. And Bitcoin is down 14.76%. So DigiHost, Sphere 3D, and Mawson did worse. Mawson being down 54% from that time. Core Scientific is down only 8.94% from that point. Cleanspark is up 2%. Iris is up 3%. Argo is 3%. Stronghold is up 7%. DMG is up 7%. Bitfarms is up 8%. Bitfarms is up 15%. Riot is up 37%. Hut 8 is up 39%. Marathon is up 77%. And Hive, hello Hive, it's up 80% from 12 weeks ago. So the miners are starting to come back alive. And then looking at it down here, we can see the weekly performance of each one, the green and the reds, and we are seeing more and more green than we are in the red each week, so that's a good sign. We'll obviously have to see if this continues on, but it's definitely a lot better to talk about it when Bitcoin's going up than when Bitcoin and the miners were going down and they were just getting creamed. So that is it. It's a lot of news for the day, a lot of stuff to go over. One other thing that I forgot to mention. During the conference call with Rivian, did not hear anything that was newsworthy or something that they haven't already provided news on, so I didn't include it in here. But you can take a listen to it. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys probably on Monday. I'm going to be out traveling tomorrow with the family, doing some sightseeing. So I'll be busy tomorrow, but we'll get back into it obviously on Monday. We'll probably look at the miners in each category, see how they compare to each other. If we have all the data for that, that'll be coming next week. And we'll see whatever else is going on with Bitcoin right now. But that is it. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. Also, the spreadsheets, everything that I have as far as spreadsheets and things like that, I'll post on my Patreon page. Thank you to my patrons for their great support there. And that is it. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.